The Cavalier poets were a group of poets in the 17th century. The term Cavalier means gentlemanlike or knightly, which describes King Charles I's court, in which he made it a goal to surround himself with very well-educated and versatile young men. Therefore, many of these poets belonged to the aristocratic class. They mocked the style of King Charles I with very long flowing hair and elaborate dress. The Cavalier poets followed many distinct characteristics in their writings. A conversational style in which very natural and flowing words was often used. Thoughts or opinions were often expressed, and allusions to Greek and Roman gods were common. The poets used a rhythmic pattern, which was carefully structured and usually involved regular meter and rhyme schemes. Love was a very popular theme, in which many of the poets idolized women. Another popular theme involved uncertainty and shortness of life. A heavy influence was placed on Ben Jonson, a contemporary of William Shakespeare. It is rumored that these two were rivals, but others say that they were friends and learned from each other's works. Jonson is sometimes referred to as the father of Cavalier poets. The Cavalier poets should not be confused with the metaphysical poets, which coexisted with the Cavalier poets. In fact, the metaphysical poets contrast the Cavalier poets in that they focus mainly on the abstract and non-concrete ideas, whereas the Cavalier poets focus on the worldly and secular ideas. Sir John Suckling is one of the well-known Cavalier poets. Suckling was born on February 10, 1609 at Witton, a small town in London, England. Witton is located next to Hounslow in the southwest corner of the map. His father, Sir John Suckling Sr., held high-ranking positions under different notable government officials, was a member of Parliament at different times in the early 1600s, and was knighted by King James I. Needless to say that the Suckling family was well off in the English society. Suckling went to Trinity College, Cambridge in 1623. Later, in 1627, he was enrolled at Gray's Inn, or more professionally, the Honourable Society of Gray's Inn. This was a professional association for barristers and judges. There he met and knew other famous Cavalier poets such as Thomas Carew, Richard Lovelace, Thomas Naves, John Hales, and Sir William Devant. The death of his father in 1627 left him an orphan and the inheritor of a great wealth. Later that year, the 30 Years' War began, and he became a member of the military. Later, in September 1630, he was knighted by King Charles I. In his downtime, Suckling led a rather unwholesome life with much gambling, bowling, and card games, so much so that his inheritances were being sold off to cover debts. However, he was considered not only the most skillful card player, but also the best bowler in England. In 1639, Suckling assisted King Charles I in the First Scottish War. In 1641, Suckling tried to help an opponent of Parliament escape and was caught. Then he fled to France and was convicted of high treason in August 1641. Two accounts of Suckling's death exist. The first involves a robbery of his belongings by a servant. The servant was caught by Suckling, and knowing his short temper, drove a nail into Suckling's boot so that he could not run after him. The wound was so bad that he died a few days later. Another, more believable account involves Suckling drinking poison at the thought of living in poverty in France. One of Suckling's most famous works is A Ballad Upon a Wedding, where Suckling idealizes the beauty of woman. Midway through the poem he states, "Her lips were red and one was thin, compared to that was next her chin. Some bee had stung it newly. But Dick, her eyes so guard her face, I durst no more upon them graze than that on the sun in July. Her mouth so small, when she does speak, thou'd swear her teeth her words did break, that they might passage get, but she so handled still the matter, they came as good as ours, or better, and are not spent a whit." Sir John Suckling, along with many other poets, helped to mark a new form of poetry that has left a mark on history forever.